Okay, hi. So 2 years ago, I was working in Toronto on a research project, and one of my main tasks were to communicate with a lot of urban Aboriginal communities, especially women and other youth females, and to coordinate with them and to all the service providers. They were providing services for shelters and for foster care and for addictions, counseling for addiction. And one of the things I came to observe about is that how there were so many women out there, so many females out there finding it difficult to access to some of the services, some of the programs they were not accessing properly. And the reason, one of the reason I was given is that that some of these services were either gender blind or they were culturally blind for their community needs and all of that. So, and for example, I met one woman, let's call her Brendy, and she said that as a homeless person, she's in a shelter right now and she's unable to feel very safe because she's living in a co-ed sort of a shelter where she feels that as a woman, their safety measures has not been taken care of. There was another girl I met with, and her name, let's say, is Shannon, and she's a young woman, 17-year-old, and she said that she feels unsafe, she feels desperate to find a house by the time she gets 19 because by that time there is a lack, she feels there is a lack of long-term social network that she needs, and if that doesn't happen, that she feels that her life could be in imminent danger or could be yeah, that sort of a thing, because long-term care is hardly was provided in her community. So these kind of stories made me think that what sort of services and what sort of culturally responsive and gender responsive services are actually the need for the community, or need for the community for many urban Aboriginal women that are across Canada. And that is precisely the topic of my proposed thesis, which is at preliminary stage. And I'm looking into the organizational structures basically, and what I'm looking into is basically the relationship that service providers have with their communities. I'm also looking into the kind of restructuring that has happened over the years in Canada, and my site is Winnipeg, of course, because I'm still living here. And some of the preliminary findings I have found so far is that that over the years in Canada there has been restructuring of organization, which means and that is actually propagated under a agenda, which is we all know it's a neoliberal sort of an agenda, a public policy kind of a thing, and which promotes for a public and private partnership and growth of private and non-profit volunteer sector. So at one point it is interesting because a lot of people's interest and a lot of people's stakes would be upfront, and there will be more organizations, more people, more communities would have a chance to exercise their ownership and exercise their concerns. But there is also a problem, and that is how the impact is going to be on the organization and on the service provider. So some of the results have indicated that when restructuring happened, there's a lot of privatization might happen, and there is a chance of downsizing of community of the staff. So what happened, it creates a kind of a pressure in terms of workload, in terms of work pattern changes from more paid work towards more unpaid work. So these workers, these community and service providers are actually quite in sort of like are running against the time for providing the service, the effective service, and this is affecting the women and the community members to getting accessible services and to get services which are effective culturally and gender neutral or sort of gender sensitive. So my research is going to just hoping to find a way in which these services can be made positive, can be made viable for women and in the community. So a future for women like Brandy or women like Shannon it's a very safe and secure future in the coming years. Yeah.